are. There we go. Thanks for that reminder. We've got Tamara, who is with us from Calgary, and we've got South Dakota, Sioux Falls, South Dakota. Fabulous. Okay, we are going to get rocking and rolling. It's 11:01. I like to keep things on the move here. And so welcome everybody. So good to have you with me. We are going to do a 30,000 foot overview. So a very high level overview of some digestive markers. We obviously can't go super deep. We don't have hours to do this. We have 45 minutes or less. And you know, I'm counting on the fact that you've got anatomy and physiology under your belt already, which will make this a whole lot more meaningful. All righty. The information we're talking about today is for your education only. It is not meant to diagnose or prescribe, and you are responsible for any results, good or bad, that result from using this information. So important for you to remember that we never, ever, 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 ever use iridology to diagnose. We never name a disease from what we see in the eyes. We never name a cure from what we see in the eyes. The eyes give us information, but they don't give us disease names. The eyes guide our assessment, and they give us the questions we need to ask. And they also help us to understand what pathway we should be recommending. Okay, so get that out of the way right off the starting block. Introducing myself for just a moment here. And you know what? I think I'm also going, did I turn on my camera? Oh my goodness. Okay, just a moment here. I need to move my control bar. Let's do this so we can say hello. Hi. There we go. Proper hello. You probably already know my name is Judith Cobb, and you've seen that in whatever got you to where we're at right now. I have been in the holistic wellness world for over 4 decades now. I started this journey in the late 1970s, 1979 to be precise. Actually, it was before then even that I was really interested in things that are holistic, only I didn't know that's what they were called because I was too young to know the difference. I just knew that there was more nutrition in whole grains than there was in white flour. I knew that sugar wasn't good for us and that honey was probably better, you know, so I had some of those inklings as a teenager. And so I got into holistic healing as a very young adult because I had health problems that the doctors were not pinpointing. They weren't helping to isolate what was the problem and what could we do about it. And I got frustrated and I went, bag this, that's not where I want to be. And that's when I met this young man who knew a bit about herbs, a bit about nutrition, a bit about iridology, a bit about reflexology. And his mother was a lay trained practitioner. And so he started teaching me what he knew, and I loved it. And then I loved him, and then we got married, and there we are 42 years of wedded bliss later. We're still together, which is marvelous, but I have gone so far beyond that starting point. In all these years, I have written several books that I have self-published and self-distributed: Pregnancy Naturally, The Herbal Birth Kit Handbook, Healthy Kids Naturally, The Essential Guide to Nature's Sunshine Products, Biokinesiology and Color Therapy Level 1 and 2, The Confident Nutritionist Dynamic Iridology Textbook. I've also created and taught courses to go with all of those books, as well as a few more courses in herbology, in biokinesiology and color therapy. For a while, I was a certified prenatal educator and designed and taught antenatal classes. Loved that, still love doing prenatal work. And of course, am now still teaching herbology and iridology and all that kind of good stuff. Our next iridology course will be starting in August. So if you're looking for a course, we can touch base about that. I am also one of, at last count, I believe it was 5, it might be up to 6, certified level 3 instructors in the world with the International Iridology Practitioners Association. They had levels 1 and 2 for quite a while, and it takes level 1 and level 2 to actually become a certified iridologist. Last summer, they added level 3, and I was one of the first people out of the starting blocks to do the training. and to do the exam to certify as an instructor at that level. I am also a member of the Canadian Association of Holistic Nutrition Professionals and the Canadian Association of Natural Nutrition Practitioners, and a professional member of the Alberta Herbalists Association. Alrighty, I want to thank you for making comments and for waving at me and things like that. It really fuels my energy. And I'm going to encourage you to continue to interact with me for the next 30 or 35 minutes that we're together. Ask questions, make comments, and I will be asking questions that I would like feedback on so that I can tailor make this program, this little presentation today, to meet your needs more effectively. All right, are we good to go? Yeah. If we're good to go, give me a thumbs up. You want more? Yeah. Okay, so at the end of our time today, I am going to be offering you an invitation, so hang with me, and that's especially important if you are a health professional, if you've got an anatomy and physiology course under your belt. I am not seeing any thumbs up. Has everyone fallen asleep on me already? Have I? Oh, Tamara on Instagram, thank you. Love it, thank you so much. Yep. Excellent. And Nina, thank you so much. Amazing. Yes, I tried putting a thumbs up, says Trina. Okay, you can even just write the word thumbs up. I don't know how to do the emoji things either, so you can just give me words. All right. And again, make a note of this URL. If you are a health professional and you've got A&P, anatomy and physiology, under your belt already, make a note of this URL, which I'm going to post into the chat panel for my Instagram friends. We're going to make sure that everyone can see that, because this is an invitation to connect in a little while. So hang tough with me. Okay, so here we go. 30,000 foot overview of a few key digestive markers. Now, remember I said that the eyes teach us what questions to ask, and they can teach us a bit about recommendations to make as well. We are not going to go that deep. We don't have that much time. Michelle, hello on Facebook. Good to see you there. Thanks for being here. This is so cool. So cool. We've got such a good group with us today. So when we see an iridology marker, it is important to remember that it is not an absolute guarantee of anything. Iridology markers suggest predispositions to situations. So when we look at an iridology marker, we can't say you have this problem. We can ask if there is a personal or family history of a problem in that area. Does that make sense? Do you see the difference there? Do you see the difference between telling someone there's something wrong and asking if there's a personal or family history of it? This is a super important distinction. When you tell them something is wrong, you are diagnosing, which we cannot legally do and we should not do based on iridology. Even many of the early researchers in iridology were very clear that iridology is not a standalone tool. We need other things to back it up. So we will often see digestive markers in people who have no symptoms. Sometimes we'll see digestive symptoms in people who have no markers. So what gives here? If we see a digestive system marker, it means the person has the genetic potential to have a problem in that area. They may not have any problems. They may be too young to have created an issue for themselves. They may have already figured out that if they do these things with their diet, they suffer. If they do those things with their diet, they feel much better. So they may be controlling the situation just fine with what they're already doing. The flip side of the story is to have someone who has digestive symptoms, but you look at their digestive zone and you go, I don't get it. There's no markers here. Why are there no markers here? Well, there would be no markers if the person genetically had a strong, robust digestive tract, but they could have symptoms if they'd earned the right to have them. Does that make sense? That just because there's no marker doesn't mean there's no potential for problem, because you can undermine your health. Do we agree on that? If we agree that even a strong, robust body can be undermined, Trina says it makes sense. Thank you so much, Trina. Thank you. I appreciate that. I was going to ask for that feedback. You read my mind. Good job. Good job. So when we look at this, we need to always be aware of what the client's symptoms are so that we know how to assess the eye. Now, that might sound like cheating. If a client says, I have acid reflux, and we look at the eyes and we go, your eyes do suggest that you probably are under acid, and it's usually under acid that can create that reflux sensation. And that might sound like cheating, but actually, if they say they've got reflux, they likely think they have too much acid. When we look in the eyes, we can say, well, you likely have not enough acid. Tell me about how you digest different foods, what happens when you eat meat, what happens when you eat carbs. That'll help us to figure out whether it's a low acid or a high acid situation, and then we can address it. So when we see an eye like this, we need to understand our anatomy and physiology to understand how different organs work together and how they can create different symptoms when they are together. Okay, it's so important to have your anatomy and physiology. It really is. So we're going to look at a couple of markers today that affect digestion, and we're looking at things primarily within this zone, within this area. Okay, so the first thing we're going to look at is what we call comb teeth. Now, for those of you on Instagram, I'm going to move my camera much closer so you get a better view of this. I hope that's a better view for you. When we look at the lining at the very inner edge of the iris, where it borders up against the pupil, can you see that it looks like someone took little scissors and cut little snippets out of the edge? If you know what pinking shears are, it looks like they took pinking shears to the edge of this. Can you see that very uneven, jagged edge? If you can see that jagged edge, I want to see the word jagged in the comments. Going to wait for that to come in. Do you see jagged? Yes, Trina, thank you so much. And Brenda and Nina, thank you so much. Appreciate that a whole lot. And Heather sees it too. Yes, 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 yes. This is very, very good. All right. Again, this is called comb teeth. You need to have intense magnification usually to see this. And we've got people on Instagram saying they see this as well. Thank you so much. So when we see this, it suggests to us that we have an inherent predisposition towards digestive inefficiency and insufficiency. If you know your anatomy and physiology, we're specifically saying here that the stomach lining is insufficient, that it's not capable of doing its job. Now, if you can actually describe the structure and the function of the lining of the stomach, then you've got a good foundation of anatomy and physiology from which to learn iridology. All right, so I'm not going to go into anatomy and physiology here. Just know that this is about the stomach lining, and it says an inefficient stomach lining. And when we have an inefficient stomach lining, we end up with inefficient digestion. Okay, and that can have a variety of different symptoms. Here's another great example of comb teeth. Can you see that jagged edge? Now, there are a couple of other digestive indicators in this iris, but we're not going to dive into them today. We're going to just stay focused on really a couple of markers in total. This, again, suggests an inefficient digestion. Now, this person didn't do anything to put this here. This person cannot do anything to take it away. This is an inherent predisposition. This is how his parents put him together genetically. And it means that if he does not take good care of his stomach, he will likely end up with digestive symptoms. If he does take good care of his stomach, he can probably get along till fairly late in life with no issues. Now, this gentleman is in his late 60s. He is beginning to have some digestive issues. That is not uncommon. Remember that we typically begin to lose our digestive enzymes around the age of 35. And by the time we're 55, we are lucky if we've got half of our capacity left there. So it's not uncommon for us to need to support people who are over the age of 55 with some digestive support. When we see that they have these comb teeth, we are likely going to need to start supporting their stomach at a much earlier age. Right? Because what happens if the stomach's not breaking down your foods properly? In this case, we're talking especially about proteins. If it's not breaking down proteins properly, chemically, to create the amino acids, to break the proteins into amino acids, then you do not get the tiny amino acid building blocks you need to repair tissue. And if you don't repair tissue, you are degenerating, you are breaking down. Okay, does that make sense? The stomach is one of the most important organs we need to support, regardless of what the other symptoms are, because if it's not working right, we are not going to get good results anywhere else. Do you agree with me that supporting the stomach is one of the most important things we can do? If you do, give me an I agree. Absolutely agree. Thank you, Trina. Appreciate that. This is the eye of a young woman. When we met, she was in her mid to late 20s. And thank you so much, Brenda and Heather and Nina. Excellent, excellent. When this young lady came to me, she was super, super high stress. And when I looked and saw, amongst other things, that she has that really rough edge to her pupillary border. In here, it looks a little bit snipped. I was a little bit concerned, but she went through a really, really stressful about 3 years where I was afraid she was literally going to explode with the stress she was carrying. Oh my goodness. I just couldn't help but hug her every time I saw her, right? And then fortunately, she and her husband, who was the cause of many of her grief points, went to counseling. They got it together. They actually both changed careers, and they've both studied to be life coaches. They eat very well now. They have a very mindful lifestyle. And starting about 3 years ago, I stopped worrying about her, because she's got it together. She's doing a really good job. Trina points out that this person lives in the sympathetic nervous system response zone. That's what all of these rings coming around here tell us. And that's absolutely true. And that's why the stress was such a critical factor for her. What impact does stress and anxiety have on digestion? Okay, this would be something you would know from studying anatomy and physiology, right? And if we take that impact of stress and anxiety and layer that up with this kind of a border, this really rough edge, it suggests very strongly that she will have significant problems breaking her foods down, and especially her proteins. Well, when you're under stress, you know from your A&P that you are running an inflamed state. Stress creates inflammation, right? We need the right nutrients to take the stress down, to take the inflammation down. And we did what we could with supplements and with life coaching and things like that with her. And really, for her, the thing that's made the difference was she and her husband getting marital counseling and getting things worked out. Now, notice that even though they've got things worked out, she still has these rings. She still has this rough edge. None of this is going to change. None of these markings are going to go away. This is how her parents put her together, right? It's what she does with this that's going to determine what she can enjoy for health. So the fact that she's really got it together, she does a lot of preventive maintenance. She does yoga, she meditates, she journals, she eats well, she has boundaries that she maintains very firmly, not to the point where she's nasty about it, but she maintains her boundaries to protect herself. And so she has learned some lessons really well that are going to minimize the impact of these contraction furrows, these rings coming around, and of this comb teeth edge. And as we minimize the impact of that, what happens to her digestive ability? What do you think happens? Give me a comment here. What do you think happens when we've got her remaining calm, staying centered? Yeah, Trina, thank you. Her digestion improves, right? Now we could use some supplements with her to support it as well. Fact of the matter is she's young enough, we don't need to do that just yet. Here we have a woman in her mid-50s. And again, when we look at that inner edge, you can see that it looks really rough. Right, so this is suggesting, especially at her age, being in her mid-50s, she has the predisposition towards insufficient stomach lining. She's at that age where it is likely insufficient. The very best thing we can do for her, number one, is ask her about her digestion. Are there foods that disagree with her? Foods that she's learned to avoid? Healer on a Mission is saying that with that previous slide, that being relaxed and mindful will lead to better absorption. Yeah, better absorption is the result of better digestion. If you break it down better, you can absorb it easier, more easily, and assimilate it into your tissues more easily. It all starts with digestion, right? So with this client in her mid-50s, again, she's at that age where she is likely on a rapid decline for her digestive abilities, which means we need to coach her. Now, what are some other things that you know of that can be suggested to improve digestion? So we're talking digestion at that stomach level, primarily where we break down our proteins. What can you suggest that helps with protein digestion? Drinking enough water to produce your hydrochloric acid, absolutely. But again, not drinking the water with your meals, right? A digestive enzyme could be helpful. Yeah, it could be. And again, you would choose your enzyme based on its components and based on where you feel your client needs the most support. What about the very simple yet difficult idea of chewing your food until it's liquefied? That is really hard to do. Truly, if people would chew their food well enough, when you chew it well enough, there's very little left to swallow. And we should be chewing it until it is that fine, right? Don't chew it like 3 times in a swallow, right? 3 chomps in a swallow, as I tell my clients, that's not good. Literally, try chewing your mouthfuls at least 20 times, if not 30 times, and see what's left. Trina says, something I've been really working on lately, I'm at the table at least 20 minutes after my husband is finished. Yeah, and it is one of the best ways to enhance digestion and thereby absorption and assimilation. It's a simple recommendation. It's a really tough implementation. This is a young boy. He was 10 years old when we first met. And you can see he also has a little bit of a rough edge to the lining, but more importantly than that, he has lots of these rings coming around here, which again suggests he lives in the sympathetic nervous system reaction zone, right? responding to stress. Now, he's been diagnosed with ADHD, right? Which means he doesn't filter stressors well. And so that's why they're constantly flitting from one thing to another, because everything is a stressor. And so with him, we needed first to focus on food choices. That made a significant difference to his wellness. But we also needed to focus on getting him to sit still, to sit in a chair when he eats, to stay at the table for 20 minutes and to chew, not to play. So we had to get his parents to not let him bring toys to the table, to not let him talk too much, a little bit, but not too much. Talking is not chewing, right? And to get him to learn how to chew his food more effectively, more thoroughly. These people tend to eat on the run. They unhinge their jaw and swallow their prey whole, right? Which does not help with digestion one little bit. So needed to work with this young man, first off, to get him to slow down, to taste his food, and to chew his food well. Here's another great example. And Trina's calling that the gut-brain connection. Absolutely. Look at this rough inner edge, these comb teeth. And we've got all of these contraction furrows again. So this is another person who lives in the sympathetic nervous system, but she knows she does. She is a yoga teacher, and she is also a meditation teacher. She worked in another industry to begin with, which was doing technical writing, which, you know, she was good at, and she could do it in a couple of languages, which was great. It wasn't what made her happy. What makes her happy is teaching meditation and yoga. Her diet is amazing. Was in her late 30s when we took these photos. And so I was simply able to recommend to her first and foremost that yes, do your mindfulness, focus on your meditation, be a mindful eater, take your time at meals to sit and chew well, enjoy the food, enjoy the fact that every time you sit down to eat, you can have a 20 to 30-minute break from the noise and the confusion and the chaos of the day. Look at your meal time as a definite restorative time, which she does very, very well. And because of that, she has no digestive complaints. Does she have the potential to have digestive complaints? Yes, she does. She's got this rough edge. She's got pigment sitting in here. She's got a bit of an edge right here that gives us more information. She's got these rings. She's even got different pigment colors in her eyes that tell us about things that can affect the digestive processes. So she has a lot of opportunity to have problems with digestion. But the fact that she is a vegetarian and the fact that she is a mindful eater have really helped her to not run into problems. This is the eye of a 4-year-old little girl. Notice how rough her stomach edge is. She did not do this to herself. This is how she was put together by her parents. Am I concerned about this? Not at this stage. Now notice she also has these rings. This is so common to see these with that rough stomach edge, not always together, but very often together. And so she's an only child. She was an IVF baby, and her parents did try to have a second child and were unsuccessful. And so this little girl gets the very best food. Most of what she gets is organic. Mom and dad don't necessarily get the organic food all the time because the budget's not there to cover all of this. But she often gets organic food. Her mother is very conscientious and is doing a great job of not being a hover mother that a lot of mothers of single children are. She allows this little girl to make mistakes. and to fix her mistakes, which I think is a brilliant thing to do. It's very difficult when you've only got one child to let them make mistakes. And this mother is doing a great job. So, and the mother makes sure that this little girl has her social time, her busy time, and some quiet time. And the mom is making sure that the diet is adequate and that the mealtime lifestyle is superior. So that this little girl is learning about chewing food, is learning about, we don't pick and choose from a healthy plate what we're going to eat. We eat everything if it's healthy, if they are good food choices. So really an excellent upbringing. She does have the potential to have some problems, which, you know, she could earn the right to have if she gets sloppy with her diet and lifestyle. So what we've really looked at today is we've looked at comb teeth, and we've looked at the influence of a sympathetic nervous system, the potential influence of a sympathetic nervous system on an inefficient or insufficient digestive tract. So what are your thoughts here? What are you thinking? While you're giving me your thoughts in the comments, you know, Dr. Bernard Jensen said this: after your meal, sit a while, then walk a mile. We've come a long way in iridology since Dr. Jensen, but that does not negate his wisdom in the ways of health. He had a lot of wisdom. So this is perfect foundational advice for everyone who has digestive concerns, and especially those who are sympathetic dominant. Trina is asking, do I have any photos showing a person with a good digestive system? I didn't include those today because we were only focusing on things that were not up to snuff. Okay, and so it's really, there are several different markers that we can see that suggest an increased risk of digestive insufficiency. And it's been my experience, the longer I'm in this business, the less easy it is, the harder it is to find someone who doesn't have at least one digestive system indicator. So with that, I would like to take a moment to talk about the iridology course. Now, some health professionals want to learn iridology just because they do, and that's fabulous. And after they learn it, they find that it helps them in so many other ways. Now, you might want to learn iridology for one of these ways, because it helps you to assess your clients more quickly without them feeling like they're being rushed. It helps you to be more accurate, which means that you can be more efficient in your program creation. Whoops. It helps to create better and faster rapport because you're focusing on exactly what your clients need and want. And it eliminates the need for an intake form. You still need a release form, the informed consent form, but you don't ever need to give your clients a lengthy questionnaire because you can use the iris analysis along with your client's symptoms to ask the right questions to get the answers you need to create programs. So introducing the dynamic iridology assessment system for health professionals. This is the only live, online, fully mentored course for nutritionists, herbalists, and naturopaths who want to streamline their clinical work without sacrificing client care. So they can stop working unpaid overtime to develop client programs. How many of you create your client programs outside of your client sessions? See your client, you go off, you spend an hour or 2 or 3 or 4 creating a program and then bring a program back. Do you do that? Yeah. Would you like, Brenda, would you like to stop doing that? Would you like to get your programs created right in your client sessions? If you would, give me an oh yeah. Wow, yes, yeah. I can teach you how to do that. So you can stop overwhelming your clients with undoable programs. When you spend extra time creating programs, I guarantee you are giving your client too much information and you're overwhelming them. When you stop overwhelming them, you will find you get better client compliance, which means your clients get better success, which means you actually get better long-term retention You'll get your clients coming back to you several times in a row for several months, and then they'll get to a good place and you won't hear from them for a few years. And then something will shift, and then they'll come back to you for a few more appointments, and they will keep rinsing and repeating this cycle. I've got many clients who've been with me now for nearly 4 decades. I don't see them necessarily every year, but I do see them every few years, right? It's wonderful having clients that have been with me for so long. I had a fellow in yesterday, I've only seen him twice, but he said, I saw so-and-so the other day. Well, I happen to know who his mother-in-law is. She's coming in to see me today. She's been a client of mine for 30 years. The mother-in-law came to me from her sister, who has been a client for 35 years. The sister has sent in 2 of her other daughters. I mean, we're talking, I was teasing and saying I could trace his family tree if I wanted to divulge client confidentiality and let him know all of the people he's related to who I've worked with. Right? And that's what we love, is the long-term retention. So I want to just underscore here that the next session, the next start date for the Dynamic Iridology program is August 11th. I want to define health professional. A health professional is anyone who has either completed a college level anatomy and physiology course, or who has taken courses that provide a strong foundation in A&P. So think of it this way. If you can name 5 of the 500 functions of the liver, if you can describe the structure and the function of the stomach lining, if you understand and can describe the role of cortisol in insulin resistance, you probably have a good enough foundation in anatomy and physiology to consider enrolling in the Dynamic Iridology program. Right. And so that's just really important to me, because what I found is when students don't have a strong foundation in A&P, they drop out of the program, and then nobody benefits. Right. This is one of my students, Allison. She said, I've been on the front line of nursing for 25 years, and this is about 5 or 6 years old now. I'm studying holistic therapy through Wild Rose. I needed to take an iridology course to get my diploma, yet I was advised by classmates to try to take an interactive iridology course, as the correspondence one was way too difficult to understand without slides and having someone there to ask questions or bounce ideas off of. I found Judith's course, and I'm so glad I did. The amount of learning is enormous, and there's a lot of depth to this course. I can now write an iris assessment with confidence. Judith's teaching is professional and easy to learn, as she stops for questions, has great colorful slides, and reviews every week, along with practice slides and videos. Her students are her priority, and their understanding of the information is imperative to her. I would definitely recommend this course to anyone who's looking for a professional level iridology course. Judith is a wealth of knowledge and a fantastic mentor and teacher. I loved this course, and I know you will too. Love it. This is another one of my graduates, Theodora. She's a Bowen practitioner, and she was interested in learning iridology. She said, I'm very happy that I finished the course. My teacher, Judith, is a great professional with a positive and happy attitude, which she always has while teaching. She worked with us until she was sure that we understood the required material. With a lot of practice during our sessions, I am now comfortable to practice iridology. The recommendations which I can now make for my clients are much better informed based on what I see in their irides. I would recommend this course to all the nutritionists. Thank you. I'm really glad that I took this course and that you are my teacher. I'm looking forward to another course with you. Love it. Last but not least, this is Virginie. And she says, being a novice in iridology, I deeply appreciate your course. It's complete, deep, and very smartly organized and thought out so that each class builds upon the preceding one. You have all the qualities of a good teacher, knowledge, patience, passion, which I very much enjoyed. However, what I really appreciated above all is your incredible gift to identify and ascertain what you've seen in iris, and the way you are able to see how a variety of markers support each other. We call that triangulation, and then pull in nutrition and other supports. Love it, love it, Love it. So the next course, again, is coming up on August 11th. And if you are a health professional, if you've got that solid foundation in anatomy and physiology, and you're looking for information, more information about this course to see if this course is a good fit, I invite you to sign up for a 15-minute call just to see if this course could be a good fit for you. This is not a call to sell you anything. It's a call to see, first off, if this is a good fit. If it is, we'll set up another call to take care of the enrollment, right? So if you have anatomy and physiology, whether it's through nutrition training or it's a separate course or you're a massage therapist, and you're interested in adding iridology to your tool belt, schedule a call with me, just a 15-minute one. Let's have a conversation. So just before we wrap up, just wondering if you have any further questions or any comments. What did you learn today? You've invested 40 minutes with me, of which I'm very thankful for. What did you learn today? How did this benefit you? Give everybody just a minute to give me some input here. I promised a 30,000-foot overview, which is exactly what we got here. Trina says, I learned about the jagged edge being an indicator for digestion issues. Lovely, Trina. That's great. Thank you for putting that in. Great information for just getting into it, Michelle. Thank you for that. Thank you for that. Very high level overview. We didn't go into all the questions you would ask, possible things you would suggest for solutions. We do that in the full-on course. We didn't get into how this combines with too many other markers. We did talk about how it combines with the nervous system a little bit, but we can get into that. Tamara says, I need a consult, LOL. Okay, Tamara, if this is the Tamara I think it is, I'll send you the booking link. She's an existing client. It was so interesting about digestion diminishing at 35 and 55, going to look at more info about that. I bet it ties into so many issues around those ages, says Heather Gardner. Absolutely. Yeah, Tamara, that's who I thought you were. And so I will make sure you get the booking link and we'll get you in for a consult. Amazing. All righty. So I'm so glad some of you found some benefit here. That is wonderful. I look forward to speaking with you soon. And again, if you're looking for an iridology class and you want to find out if dynamic iridology is the right one, and you've got that A&P background from anywhere, book a call. Let's have that 15-minute conversation and see if this is a good fit for you. With that, my friends, I am going to say goodbye again. Thank you so much for being with me, and I hope to talk to you real soon. Bye for now.